broadcast on purchasing new releases. Today is May 27th, and we are doing July of 2015. July of 2015. As usual, I'm joined by Mark in the middle there, and Ken on the right, and I'm Bob Cellini. So let's get to it. A macro look at July 2015. This is a lousy month. $375 million in box office, and half of that is one animation. This is a very poor month, and you shouldn't spend your budget. You should be saving it for the fall. Here's a tip sheet. It's free. If you want it, just email me. We always use the last column. It's a store that buys $5,000 a month or $60,000 a year, and obviously in July I'd be buying $3,000. This is a shelf talker that is used by Ken in his store, and it emphasizes the titles that he has and Redbox and Netflix do not. And it's a shelf talker, and it's a merchandising suggestion for the viewer. So let's jump right in. There are 4 Tuesdays in July. The first one is July 7th. This is the only recognizable title for the week. Woman in Gold, grossed $31 million. Very good scores, very good reviews, very classy, skews to older people watching. My recommended buy is 12 to 16. Mark?
Yeah, the critics didn't like this as much as the consumers did, but it's the consumers we're shooting for, right? So, as far as I'm concerned, I thoroughly enjoyed this movie, one of my very favorite of the year. Moviegoers, gave this a strong 85. I don't care for the box art. It's very boring to me. Weinsteins are famous for that. But, this month doesn't matter. This week doesn't matter. Definitely not. I comp it to The Queen with, starring Helen Mirren. But I think this is a better movie and a more mainstream movie. And I think, Bob's numbers look good to me. What do you think, Ken?
I agree with you about the box art. It's going to get lost on the shelves if it doesn't get some help. A shelf talker of some kind with this would help it out a bit. But, I like Bob's number, but given this is the biggest title of the week, I'd probably bump it up a little bit more than that. I might be looking at maybe 20 pieces.
Okay. We have some hidden gems. These are titles recommended by EMA judges, and you will see that designation. I should point out that for the rest of July 7th, there are a lot of interesting independent product of which you might want to take a chance and fool the consumer a little bit to give it more depth. The first one is a hidden gem. We recommend you buy it. This is very much Tarantino type violence with humor. And I like to sleep because it looks violent and it looks campy at the same time, which is what this movie is. Mark?
Yeah, speaking of fooling the consumer, Simon Pegg and the box art will rent this movie, no question about it. But let's be clear, this is not really a comedy. It can't be humor, It's not a dramedy. It's not what Pegg typically plays. It's against his typecast. It's 3 different tellings of the same story. But you know what? Most people who saw it, even though most people who saw it didn't care for it, I don't think that doesn't mean you don't pick up 2 or 3 copies this week because of the box art and Simon Pegg's name. What do you think, Ken?
I agree with you. I mean, you pick up a few copies here, just, he's going to rent it. The box art certainly is a lot more attractive than the previous movie. And people are going to be looking for something. So you have to feed them what they want.
71, the lead actor in this is the guy that played Louis Zamperini in Unbroken, so he's a very familiar face. Really good scores. This is a foreign film. It's an English film about 1971 in Northern Ireland. Worth getting because of Jack O'Connell. Mark?
Yeah, and because it's a very, very good movie. This is a small, powerful movie. It was hailed by the critics and consumers. Moviegoers, again, on Rotten Tomatoes gave this an 84. So the people that did see it really liked it. It's a really good genre. I think it's going to build word of mouth. I think a couple of copies is called for here, in my opinion. Ken?
Yeah, I would say 2 copies here. Those are really good ratings. And O'Connell's face is going to be recognizable, like Bob pointed out. So I think it'll do okay.
5 Flights Up, 2 stars, Morgan Freeman, Diane Keaton. It's still at the box office, but maybe it'll hit $1 million or a little bit more than that. Worth getting in July, probably 2-3 pieces as far as I'm concerned. Mark?
Yeah, that 28-day window is probably going to be pretty meaningless here. Like you said, what a great cast. This is definitely aimed at the geriatric crowd. This is not for everybody, but if you had that older demographic, buy accordingly. But the reviews have been pretty decent, not terrible, but considering the cast, this is a must pick up. Ken?
Yeah, the cast is going to rent this. I mean, this is going to go off the shelves constantly, and we have plenty of geriatric customers anymore. So yeah, I'd be looking at 3-4 copies here.
Maggie. This is Arnold Schwarzenegger that was given no opportunity at the box office. Grossed virtually nothing. It's a horror picture. Different kind of a role for Schwarzenegger. I think you got to get it because of him and because of the week and week month. Mark?
Well, in my opinion, this is definitely your number 2 title of the week. It's hard to tell from that cover, although I like the cover. It's hard to tell it's a zombie movie. But, with that cast, with Arnold Schwarzenegger, and Breslin, your customers are going to figure this is something they want, And believe it or not, a lot of critics gave this a thumbs up. The critics were very nice to this. If you're on Rentrack or Mobile, whatever they are, go the full thing. If not, at least a shelf and play whatever that screenplay loop is that you do in your store, Ken.
The trailer loops. Yeah.
Yeah, the trailer loops.
Yeah, I was shocked when I read the synopsis of this, that Schwarzenegger was in it. I hadn't heard of it. But, he rents. And there's no question about it. Customers are going to pick this up, and they're going to want to see what it's all about. They're going to, just curiosity will move this off the shelves. So, yeah, you could bring in, half a dozen or a dozen of this, probably be safe.
Slow West. Another title that you should probably have in this week because one, it has Michael Fassbender, and 2, it's a Western, which there aren't very many of, so you should pick it up, I think. Mark?
Yeah, it's interesting. It does have Michael Fassbender, and he's a wonderful actor, Academy Award nominated, and I don't know how many people even know that name or know who he is, you know what I'm saying? But, it's got very good reviews. The box looks, like 1980s or something, but Westerns rent. And this gets high marks from the critics and consumers who did see it as well. So, this is a pickup, Ken.
Yeah, this is absolutely a pickup. Westerns are sure things. I'd be looking at 2 or 3 copies here.
Another independent title for July 7th, Absolution. Very low scores. Steven Seagal. This is Steven Seagal violence. I still think you probably could pick up 1 or 2. Mark?
Yeah, no question about it. But, it's almost axiomatic. You know what I'm saying? It goes without saying that very low scores, Steven Seagal. When's the last time we saw a movie with Steven Seagal that didn't get horrible scores? But you know what? He's got a gun, a badass gun on the cover, and, some people like that stuff still. Am I right, Ken?
Yeah, I mean, you can bring in a copy. I mean, your customers who like Seagal are going to pick it up, and there's enough of them that you'll make money on it.
Okay, moving to the second Tuesday of July, Paul Blart, Mall Cop 2. The first one did $146 million. This did $66 million. PG comedy. I didn't put down the recommended purchase. Shame on me. Let me look. 14 to 22. Mark?
The first Paul Blart Mall Cop movie was actually pretty funny, and I imagine the studios are hoping you remember that one and don't really read the reviews on this one, because this was a misfire from everything I've read, but that doesn't matter. I think this is pretty much, going to go big because of the month, because of the sequel. I don't know. This is going to rent. 3 shelves look good to me, minimum. Ken?
Yeah. Is this the second biggest movie of the month, Bob?
Yes.
Yeah. So, I think you got to go big on this. I'd be looking at that high end of Bob's number, the 22. That'd be 3 shelves, like Mark pointed out. And I'll add that when this first started to hit theatrically and get some publicity, we put the original back out on the new release wall. and it's been seeing steady action all along. So people are reminded, they know Mall Cop's coming again.
Exactly.
And speaking of coming again, the second best Marigold Hotel. The first one did $46 million. This did $33 million. My recommended buy is 12 to 16. Mark.
You know, it was interesting, you know, because I just loved the first one, and you know, it was definitely a runaway indie hit. Nobody expected it to do that well, and the screenwriter who wrote this one, but that was based on a best-selling novel, and I guess this one was just based on his imagination, and it was so unsatisfying. But that's my little editorial. With that said, this is going to do very well. People are going to want to see it, and you're going to probably have to pick up a couple of shelves of this. What do you think, Kim?
I would agree with Mark. I mean, we've had customers coming in for quite a while asking if this is out yet. So it's got some pent-up demand. I would say you got to be, you know, towards the high end of Bob's number there, which is, you know, a bit more than 2 shelves. You might keep a few in reserve just in case you do need them. But I think this is going to do very well.
Ex Machina. You have a really good parallel title, I think, in Transcendence, which had exactly the same box office. Another artificial intelligence story with Johnny Depp. That title did decent, and I recommend you buy 12 to 16 of this. Mark?
Yeah, I didn't see Transcendence. I actually passed on that one because of the reviews. I would comp this more to a Snowpiercer, Bob, to be perfectly honest. You know, this is a runaway indie hit right now. It has sleeper hit written all over it. Everybody who's seen it loves it, including myself. It's smart. It's fresh. It is about AI, but it's, you know, it's not done in a goofy, big Hollywood way. It's, you know what, people are going to talk about this at the water cooler. It's that good. You know, so I say Bob's number looks perfect. Bob's really doing good with those recommended numbers this month. Kim?
Yeah, no, I think he is doing good with the recommendations this month. I think this is 2 shelves. I think it's catchy box art. That's a wonderful box office for this kind of caliber film. And the scores are just really good. So I think it'll be just fine with 2 shelves.
It Follows, 15 million, horror picture, week month, 12 to 16. I like the sleeve. Mark?
Yeah, I do too. You know what? I actually love it. You know, it just really it grabs my attention. You know, and I also really like the storyline. R-rated horror rents, you know, always have, always will. You know, and critics really like this. Got a 96 in Rotten Tomatoes. Can you imagine? I'm going to say that, you know, this could be a sleeper hit. This could be better than what you think it's going to be. What do you think, Ken?
I was impressed with the box office here. You know, I think it's going to do pretty well. It is good box art. The lighting on it is very effective. So I'd be inclined to give this at least a shelf. Probably a bit more than that. I'd be looking at that 14 copies, 2 shelves.
Red Knot. This is another hidden gem. Vincent Kartheiser from Mad Men is in it. Interesting story. The backdrop of it, though, is Antarctica, and the cinematography is really, really beautiful. Recommend you buy it. Mark?
Yeah, I agree with you, Bob. Very, very well done drama. For, you know, has an old school feel to it. You know, story driven, character driven. It's easy to recommend for your discerning customers. And even though, you know, the dude from Mad Men's in it, I don't think most people will recognize his name, and they really hardly recognize his face. So that, I don't know how relevant that is, but I definitely say a couple of copies here is worthwhile. Ken?
Yeah, I'd bring in a copy. It's intriguing box art, and, you know, we'll have customers who do want it.
Clouds of Sils Maria. Drama, obviously star power with Juliette Binoche and Kristen Stewart. Worth getting, no doubt. Mark?
Yeah, and Kristen Stewart does one hell of a job in this. You know, she really does it. I like this movie. My wife hated it. It's very cerebral, very talky, but it's also very well acted, you know. And most of your customers are probably not going to care for it. You know, very careful on this one. You don't need more than a copy or 2, in my opinion. But again, I liked it. Wife hated it, for what that's worth. Ken?
I'd bring lucky to have it, and we'll have some customers looking for it. They may hear of it elsewhere and look for it. So I think we'd probably be okay with one.
Salt of the Earth. This is an Academy Award nominee this year for documentary. You should get it just for that. One copy probably. Mark?
Yeah, I agree. Come on. Academy Award nominated documentary, great reviews. Everybody has to have it. Sometimes some stores will have more than one copy, depending on your demographic. Ken?
The one copy will be just fine for me.
True story. We're moving on to July 21st, which there's no significant title. Just like last month, around the third, fourth week of June, there was no significant title. So I don't know what's going on, but there's a pattern here, or maybe an accident. True story. It has Jonah Hill and James Franco and Felicity Jones. I mean, what a cast! But it fell asleep at the box office. So my recommended buy is 7 to 10, and they have to have different artwork. I just assume this is what I could grab. I couldn't find final artwork. Mark?
Yeah, maybe they're trying to make that artwork look like True Detective and confuse people. Hey, when you say no significant title, I think James Franco or Jonah Hill might send you a little nasty email saying, what the hell are you talking about? It's a great cast. Yeah, good. It was produced by Brad Pitt. I don't think journalism movies do well. It bombed theatrically, like you pointed out, Bob. And critics didn't really care for it. Yeah, this is a tough call on a very light weekend. I'm interested to see what Ken has to say.
Ken's going to need to see some different artwork, because if I put that on the shelf the way it is, people are going to walk right by it. With that cast, I mean, you got to have artwork that takes advantage of the cast.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't matter if the movie's really good or really bad. I don't think anybody's going to pick it up. So what am I going to buy? I'm probably going to go at the low end of Bob's number and wait and see if I see some different artwork.
What We Do in the Shadows, a comedy horror with vampires. Good scores, though. So definitely probably worth 2 or 3. Mark?
Yeah, if you look behind the scenes here, the critics and the consumers that saw this movie, they really, really liked it. This could be something that people ask for when it starts to get some word of mouth. It's just a modest theatrical release, but I think this could work. A few copies would work here. Ken?
Given the week, I would say I'd get probably a shelf of this. I mean, compare that.
I might agree.
That box art to the previous title, which is, this is going to attract some attention. And based on those scores, people weren't disappointed when they saw this film. So
no, they liked it.
So this might be one to take a chance on. I could do a shelf here.
That's a good idea. I like it.
Kung Fu Killer. The title says it all. It's certainly worth one. Mark?
Okay, it probably is. Unknown cast, unknown studio. Very light week. It probably is worth one. Would I rent it? Heck no. But who am I? Ken?
Well, there are people who rent them, so I'd bring in one copy. And like Bob said, you know exactly what it is from the title. And it is what it is. One copy will do me.
Wild Horses. This is a movie that wasn't given a chance with Robert Duvall and James Franco and Josh Hartnett. Pretty good cast. Virtually nobody's seen this, but it looks like a Western, even though to me it isn't a true Western. I think it's worth getting. Mark?
Isn't it amazing how many big-name marquee actors and Academy Award actors are in these movies that don't have any theatrical, recognition or release? Just amazing to me. These guys are wearing cowboy hats. They're Academy Award winners. I do a shelf this week, seriously, because of that alone. There's nothing coming out this week. And you know what? I want to see it, and it's probably pretty good, What do you think, Ken?
I don't disagree with you, Mark. I think what you have there is a pretty good strategy. I mean, it looks like a Western. Westerns do well. It's an awesome cast, and the scores,
right,
though they're not super, are okay. They're decent. So you could probably be very safe with a shelf on this.
I agree.
Moving on to the last Tuesday of July, the lead title of the month, Home, Animation, DreamWorks, same people who did The Croods. The Croods did about the same box office. My recommended buy is 20 to 30. Mark?
Yeah, that box office is impressive. You know, the biggest release of the month, and it's rated PG, but it looks like it's aimed at 2 or 3-year-olds with that box art. Man, I hope they beef that up a little bit, you know, a little bit more, you know, mainstream or something, you know. That 28-day window is huge for a movie like this. But, you know, for me, if they don't change that box art, I'd probably hold it to 3 shelves max, and, you know, maybe keep the extra copies like Ken suggests, you know, under the counter if you need them. But that box art does not work for me. It looks just like for the kiddies. Ken?
I think Mark's point on the box art is good, but the 28-day window on this, the biggest title of the month, is tremendous. I'd be looking at least 3 shelves for this, and probably follow that strategy of having some backup copies available if I need them.
Water Diviner. This is a Russell Crowe project. Had tremendous amount of publicity, even though it only did $4 million at the box office. A lot of people know about this movie, and it's a interesting, very sad story. My recommended buy is 7 to 10. Mark?
Yeah, it did have a lot of publicity. Russell Crowe actually came on American Idol to promote this thing, if you can believe it. You know, it's not burning up the box office in the United States, but it did win Best Picture in Australia, and that's not any small feat. You know, we're talking about movies like Moulin Rouge and what have you. You know, I love the big picture of Russell Crowe on the cover. That really is smart. Does have pretty good reviews. You know, again, I'm just going to tip my hat to Bob. His numbers look really good this month. Ken?
Yeah, Bob is right on the money, I think, this month. I'd be bringing in 7. This is going to give me a shelf at a 28-day window. To take advantage of that, I think, at least a shelf. And Russell Crowe being on the box that way is, you know, is a real insurance policy for the movie. You know, it's the same thing as the other one with the cowboy hat.
Yep.
It attracts attention. People are going to pick it up, and they're going to watch it.
Okay, another hidden gem, White God. This is an interesting movie. He's won some awards. It's an interesting story. It's a foreign film. It's about dogs that are not pure breeds. You either have to pay a high tax or turn them in, obviously, for to be killed at a later date. And these dogs get together and become an army, not a dog pack. And that's the story. It's pretty interesting. Mark?
Yeah, you know, like you pointed out, it is also a Film Fest darling. You know, it is definitely going to be a midnight classic. You know, mixed bag on the reviews. Some people absolutely loved it. I do want to say, although it is a foreign film, it does have some English in it. You know, listen to this. One reviewer called this the I Spit on Your Grave of Animal movies. So, I mean, that is so cool. I mean, that's so perfect. You know, that's worth a pickup.
Put that on the box.
They should have put that on the box, and maybe it's not too late. You know what I'm saying? You know, as far as I'm concerned, this is some people are going to really ask for this, and you're going to get some attention for this thing. It's supposed to be special. Ken?
Yeah, I'd be bringing in probably 2 of these, actually. And I might just use that I Spit on Your Grave as a shelf talker for it.
Yeah, I Spit on Your Grave of animal movies. Yeah, let's put that on the shelf talker.
These are the assumptions, which we don't go over anymore. One warning, August is going to be a very weak month, just like July. So if that affects your July buy, then you should know that. Mark and Ken, thanks a lot.
Likewise.
All right, thank you, guys.
Thanks, guys.
All right, bye.
Bye-bye.